And we are live. What's up, guys? This is Ruben Dua from Dubb's podcast Connection Loop. For those of you guys that do not know, Dubb is a video communication platform. We allow people to quickly create, share, and track videos across all channels. We have a Gmail integration, LinkedIn integration, a lot of really cool stuff to help you leverage video to grow your business. So today I have Terry Lancaster with me. And before we actually clicked record, we were talking about this idea of the idea of creation being very destructive, because the studio that I'm sitting in has been built and then destroyed and then built and then destroyed probably about 3 to 4 times now with all the different upgrades that we have. But it's all good because every time it gets a little bit better. And I've been personally still able to be kind of productive in that process. So I hope you guys are really enjoying whatever it is that you're doing to upgrade your lives, whether it's technology or process. Terry has some really good tips and tricks, some really good insight. Let's get into this. Terry, I'd love to understand your origin story, trials and tribulations, purpose.
The whole thing. Well, I tell you, my trials and tribulations when I'm speaking, really introduce myself. The intro usually starts like this. I've survived cancer twice. I've had a gun held to my head. I've had a knife held to my throat. I've been on one boat that sank, one airplane I was 100% sure was about to crash. Got thrown out of another. Went 200 yards down do a class 4 rapids, elbow over tea kettle. Survived 3 teenage daughters, and I've been selling hot air to car dealers for the last 30 years. So that's my backstory.
Wow. And out of all of that, what has been the hardest thing? The
Oh,
teenagers?
three teenage daughters, hands down. Nothing even comes close.
Well, I'm not quite there yet. I've got a 15-month-old daughter
Oh my goodness.
and a 6-year-old son, so I've got a ways to go, but I hear that.
Yeah, yeah. It is a long, hard road. It's worth every step, but it challenges you in ways you can't even begin to imagine.
I can imagine. So, I mean, what would you say your origin story is, from a business perspective? What put you where you are right now?
Well, I started in the business world in college. I was a disc jockey. I paid my way through college as a top 40 disc jockey, and I realized working at the radio station that the radio business wasn't about the music and it wasn't about the disc jockeys, because all the people who drove the nicest cars were all working in the sales department. So I started working when I graduated from college. I started selling radio advertising, and I did that for a few years. And all of my best customers, this has been a while, so all of my best customers were car dealerships. 3 out of 4 spots on the radio at that time were car dealerships. So I spent a lot of time working with car dealerships, and after about 10 years of doing that, I jumped out on my own and started an advertising agency doing nothing but selling advertising to car dealerships. And we work with car dealerships from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan to Miami, Florida. But talking about creative destruction, the world changes. Whether it's having kids or building a new studio or the internet coming along, things change. And 10 years ago, the advertising business changed dramatically because of the internet, and specifically because of social media. The Google put the newspaper business out of business, and that really disrupted my business because the car dealers were spending huge amounts of money in the newspaper at the time. And I started looking at the changes that had gone on, and I had gotten ahead of the curve with some of the newspaper advertising that we were doing and the ability to reach the far-flung corners of the universe via the internet. So I started looking at what's next, what's around the curve, and I decided that because of lots of things, and this is happening in a lot of industries, you have margin compression. The internet has compressed the margin because our customers know everything before they reach out to us. But at the same time, so they don't have to reach out and talk to a salesperson until they know what they're going to buy, until they're ready to raise their hand.
Yeah, one of my new friends, she calls that pre-framing.
Yeah.
Where most customers are pre-framed. They have a full understanding, or at least a partial understanding, of what it is that they're getting into and what problem they're trying to solve. That makes sense.
Yeah, so things get pre-framed rightly or wrongly, and sometimes it's bad information, but all it does is compress the margins, and it ends up shifting some of the margin from the retailer to whatever internet provider sent them to the retailer that they found on the internet. In the car business, they're called third-party lead generation providers. They basically siphon off they siphon off the demand from the internet and send it to the dealers. But at the same time, people like to do business with people. And every salesperson in the universe has a phone in their hand and has the ability to connect with thousands and thousands and thousands of potential customers and develop relationships with them that last before they pre-frame everything about your business and last much longer after they drive by, after the completion of the sale, so that you can maintain a relationship to get better reviews and more referrals and more repeat business. And it's kind of like the old way of doing business when everyone had a Rolodex on their desk. But now we have a telephone with thousands and thousands and thousands of contacts on there, and we just have to use that phone to communicate with, to create content with, to pre-frame our customers the way we want them to be pre-framed.
And I suspect that such a big part of your business is not just teaching how to sell, but teaching how to sell and then retain and avoid churn and to evangelize and have referrals come in. It's like a garden.
It's very Eastern, it's Asian and Confucian, because the word is wu wei. It's selling without selling. It is just being there and building the relationships. And yes, there's a sales component, and the end result is selling. But a lot of times the activity isn't selling; it's relationship building. It's relationships that start before the sale and continue after the sale.
And what would you say that the paradigm shift has been towards this wu wei, towards this selling without selling? What took place and what's working, frankly?
Well, what's working, and you know this as well as any human being on the face of the earth. What's working is video. What's working is video messaging, because you have the ability to communicate with far-flung people with eyeballs and a smiling face, and nothing can build a relationship and build that human component into it like looking at another human being in the eye. And we have the ability to do that, through mass communication on social media, where we're creating Facebook Lives and uploading videos to LinkedIn and creating our content that's educating and entertaining our customers. And we have the ability to do that one-on-one through video messaging services like Dubb, where we're communicating one-on-one with our customers with direct human content, eyeball to eyeball, face to face, belly to belly.
Well, I mean, you're really speaking my language. I mean, I think that my most important catalyst moment was when I was early on in the early days, when I was working with someone, a sales leader, someone that is, a closer, someone that provides a lot of value. He was struggling. He wasn't getting callbacks. He was getting really flustered because competitors were just sort of eating his lunch. Right. And I think the reason of that was because he wasn't out there enough, and he wasn't creating connections. He was following up like a beast, but he wasn't really, to your earlier point, creating those connections and building those long-term relationships and really providing value. And I think that was an eye-opening experience for me, because watching the numbers go up and then ultimately down, and then realize that, hey, listen, there's a problem in the marketplace right now. I mean, what is the problem? The problem is trust, really, at least from my perspective. But the solution to that is just bringing humanization back to our communication, and bringing authenticity and just bringing real life moments where it's not about what we're saying, it's how we're saying it and who we are as a person.
Yeah, and my big thing is, a lot of it is not only what we're saying and how we're saying it, it's when we're saying it, because people want to do business with people that they know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
But it's hard to build that at the point of sale. It's hard to build that at that zero moment of truth when they've already pre-framed the conversation, and they're going to have this conversation. They've already made up their mind. This is what we're going to do. This is how much we're going to spend. These are the things we want. You have to be the robot to facilitate that. And what I encourage people to do is to build that human connection by educating, entertaining, and empathizing with people much, much earlier in the process, to meet people way at the very top of the funnel and try to help guide them along the way down, instead of sitting there at the bottom. And that's what happened in the car business. We got so used to picking those apples at the bottom of the funnel, that low-hanging fruit that was just easy money, baby.
That sweet fruit.
all you got to do is just reach up and pick it right off the vine. Yeah. But now, by the time it gets to that point, if they don't know, like, and trust you by that point, they're not going to know, like, and trust you, because you're just a salesperson. You're not a human.
If the baby has candy in this day and age, it's locked in a safe. No one knows the code. No one's taking that candy from that baby when it comes to low-hanging fruit. It's changed.
Yeah,
it's changed.
The market is 100% changed, and the people who are changing with it are reaping huge rewards, because we have this amazing.
With Dubb, you can easily send your business videos from Gmail, LinkedIn, CRMs, and so many more places, but you don't have to take my word for it.
Absolutely perfect.
Screen records, landing pages that can really help businesses to grow.